Well, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Belgrade Security Conference 2024. Antonio Gramsci, an Italian philosopher and politician who was an ardent critic of Mussolini's fascist dictatorship, wrote the following words from his prison cell in the 1930s. "The old world is dying, and the new world struggles to be born. Now is the time of monsters." There is something worryingly contemporary to Gramsci's words. We are indeed surrounded by monsters. The monsters of war in the East and South, and the monsters of authoritarianism at home, marked by the rise of autocracy, extremist populism, nationalism, and social polarization. Our children, new generations like those prior to World War II, when Gramsci wrote these words, are growing up with no certainty of a peaceful and prosperous future. But we cannot allow ourselves to despair. This is the last moment to raise up in defense of humanity. The Belgrade Centre for Security Policy was founded back in 1997, in the darkest hours of Milosevic's rule, by Yugoslav army officers who refused to fight in our fratricidal wars. Over the years, BCSP evolved into one of the region's largest foreign and security policy think tanks. And we proudly carry the torch lit by these brave men more than a quarter of a century ago. The Belgrade Security Conference is in fact a true Balkan security conference. It is a home for the entire region of the Western Balkans and a place to discuss international, regional, and national affairs. Every year, the Belgrade Security Conference is proud to host many participants and speakers from the region. This year, in an attempt to further regionalize the conference, we published a call inviting Western Balkans organizations to submit their proposals for panels at the Belgrade Security Conference. The best ones from Albania, Kosovo, North Macedonia were selected, and they will feature on the last day of the conference. BCSP and the Belgrade Security Conference stand by the core values on which we were founded: peace, democracy, and human rights. Any attempt to compromise on each of these values, as we see while observing the world around us, threatens to awaken the monsters of history and drag us back into humanity's darkest hours. There can be no peace internationally with autocracies at home. Hybrid regimes, as we recently experienced in Georgia, but our country too, are not a separate type of government, but merely a stage in the process of the destruction of democracy and the building of authoritarian regimes. With hybrid regimes, there can be no lasting peace and security, just shaky interregnums to which we are only buying time until the next war. The more tyrannies there are in this world, the more likely are we to slide into war and destruction. There is something symbolic about the Sava Centre, our new venue. It was built to host the first summit after Helsinki of the then Conference for Security and Cooperation in Europe, today's OSCE, back in 1977. So this place here was dubbed in the past as the Yugoslav Glass Palace. And the Sava Centre was built to be a palace of peace, bridging the East-West divide during the Cold War. Like every year, we dedicate the Belgrade Security Conference to a remarkable person in the field of foreign and security policy. Budimir Lončar, the last foreign minister of Yugoslavia, was one of the architects of the non-aligned movement. In the late 1980s, he was a diplomatic driving force behind Yugoslav attempts to join the then European Economic Community. And tomorrow we will have a commemorative lecture in his honor and a panel on the future of non-alignment and neutrality in the 21st century. The Belgrade Security Conference Young Leaders Program is an essential part of our mission, not only to discuss the challenges of our time, but to actively shape the future. By bringing together 30 young people from across the Western Balkans each year, we are investing in those who will carry forward the torch of peace, democracy, and human rights in a region still struggling with divisions and shadows of past conflicts. This year, they will also have their own panel discussion on the final day of the conference, where participants will share their perspectives on how young people view the future of the region and the opportunities for reconciliation. In his novel, Beware of the Pity, written as World War II was breaking out, Austrian writer Srđan Cvijic wrote, "For the first time in my life, I began to realize that it is not evil and brutality, but nearly always weakness that is to blame for the worst things that happen in this world." Weakness, ladies and gentlemen, is our biggest enemy. We mustn't allow ourselves to be weak and apathetic. Each one of us has a role in stopping our world slide towards the abyss. Those who fight for peace are the heroes of our time. And those who fight for democracy are saving our future. With these words, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I declare the Belgrade Security Conference 2024 open.